and welcome to Quadratics 5.1, the imaginary unit. Okay, today's lesson is going to introduce to you about the imaginary number or unit, and it's going to basically bring up the situation where it describes or shows you where and when it comes up. Yeah, because certain things have to exist in the problem for it to actually appear, and if these conditions don't exist, then it's not going to show up. So the examples that you see here will kind of go over in what scenario it's going to happen. Okay, so in example 1, you see that we reach a stage of the problem where we're trying to solve for x, right? So we're trying to get x and the numbers to go on separate sides. That's how we subtract one in our first step, and then we square root both sides in the next step, right? And once we hit the situation where we have square root of a negative number, that's going to be the sign where, or the signal where you can say to yourself, ooh, I think this is the scenario where we have an imaginary number or an imaginary unit. Yeah. So how do we react when we see this? So in example 2, yeah, and basically this slide is going to go over, I guess, what you can basically call a conversion. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. Where in math, if we ever see a scenario where we have I squared, we can replace it with -1. Yeah, or if you think of regular plain old I, yeah. So this is kind of different from a variable I. Yeah, so it looks like a letter. It is a letter, right? But it's basically an imaginary unit. So it's gonna get kind of confusing in that sense because you're gonna think to yourself, is this a letter or is this the imaginary thing? Yeah. So you can kind of tell because in the textbooks, yeah, or in problems, you're gonna see the I written in italics. Yeah, so it's not just gonna be like a regular I like over here where you see the I for the is. It's gonna be italicized, so it's gonna be looking a little different. Okay, so when does this thing occur? Okay, so it occurs right here at this stage right here. We have x equals plus or minus square root of -1. Okay, so we're gonna use our conversion and we're gonna change the -1 into I squared. Yeah, so I squared means that it's I times I. So that's why on the side here I wrote I times I. Okay, so this step is going to turn into x equals plus or minus square root of I times I. Yeah, so this is kind of the way I taught you guys how to deal with square roots in the other lessons, where you're going to circle things that match. So because we have two i's in the square root symbol, we can circle them. And because we circle them, they get to go outside the symbol. So it's going to basically be x equals plus or minus I. Okay, so in this particular situation where we have a negative sign in your square root, then you can see how the computation works as far as the negative sign, the -1 in this case, turns into an I. It gets circled, it jumps outside, it becomes x equals plus or minus I. Okay, so when we have this situation pop up in the future, then we're going to do this exact same set of steps to get to this exact same result. Yeah, so you'll see it often. All right, bye-bye.